I drive through Treeton on the way to Sheffield every Saturday. One side of Colliery, you can see one of the old winding wheels. Thought I'd do a quick video for you. If you come from Treeton, and you can see what Treeton's like now. Back in 1984, I used to cycle through it on the way to Brinsworth Strip Mill. In 1984 they were on strike at the colliery here. Now it wasn't a great year for people in the coal industry, but 1984 generally speaking wasn't like George Orwell's 1984. I remember going to Magaluf that year and everything was so much more enjoyable than it is now. You can see the new developments as you come into Treeton. This is a big new estate here. Not going to go down that, I'm going to take you down the traditional part of Treeton. But I'm sure that when Treeton was a mining village, it had its own shops and it was sustainable without you going to the local Asda and Tesco. But as I've come up, I've not noticed any shops at all in Treeton. So basically you can't shop local in Treeton. So like, the essence of a 15-minute city is great, and if it is great, why have they stripped out everything from our small towns? So you've actually got a school here. Or even the housing on the main street is modern here. But you can see some of the old colliery houses as we walk down the high street. We've got a sign here for Treeton Community Centre. And my remembrance is just here there being a picket, because it says pit lane. So the old colliery must have been down here. There's no colliery down there anymore. Housing. See, it's all been built up behind, but no shops. Is anybody from Treeton who remembers shops around here? Or have you never had shops? It's very peaceful. Brick type cottages and also more the colliery type cottages. I'm guessing prior to the colliery there was a farming community here. Very much opposite to Waverley that I've videoed previously. Looks like more farm buildings around here. It said Woodlands Farm, and people probably remember that as a working farm. I don't know if that's the original farm building around the back of there. So it looks like an original farm building, I could be wrong. Got St Helens Church here. So can anybody tell me anything about Treeton I should know? Other than collaring farming, is it important for anything? And what I'm going to do is I can actually just show you Waverley from here, a really good view of Waverley. So if you've not seen my previous video on Waverley, it's quite some view from up here. So there's a dike of some kind down there, and I'm not sure if that's Treeton Dyke or not, because it seems to be on the wrong side. I don't know if it's the one at Fens, where you could speedboat on it at one bit, but you can see all the reclaimed land round here, very scarred. But there you can see Waverley. All around there. You can see the advanced manufacturing park. You can see a better angle here of Waverley and the advanced manufacturing park than I can from it. But I'm going to assume that all this area, probably up to there, will probably end up getting built on, up to the water's edge. But my point is, why aren't we investing in existing communities across Rotherham Borough? Why is all the investment going off elsewhere, like here? Why are we building on what I think should now be greenbelt and reclaimed land? And you can see across here, every time I come into Sheffield through here, I see these big new units by the Parkway, and I can't see the point of them. Like when we've got all the brownfield sites in Sheffield that they're now developing as high-rise flats. So that's an interesting bird's eye view of Waverley and the surrounding area. But I'd prefer to see more of this. So we've got something here called Treeton Reading Room. Now, am I right in assuming that was a library? Got the coach house here. Let's have a quick look at this, the old rectory it was. So we've got a post office here and news, and that is about it. As you can see, that looks like the only shop. Nice little cottages. And this looks like what was the original school. I don't know what it's been used for at the moment. Got an hairdresser's, beauty salon, and then we're pretty going cold. I think there's housing down here, but I don't think there's a lot around here. Of the old village anyway. Yeah, that must be coming out of the housing estate you see at the top. Find that interesting, Well Lane. There must be some reason for it being called Well Lane. Then we got onto Station Road, so there must have been a train station here, and I'm going to say the same thing as I said to the people at Catcliffe. If the train coming here is from Kiverton to Sheffield, we should be running super trams out from Dinnington into Sheffield if you really want a greener future, cleaner future, not this fake net zero that we've got, that we're just basically paying for. I'm just gonna cross the road. It's so peaceful here at times. Now, Church Lane is where I gave you the view of Waverley from. It must come down the back of the church. I'll just give a quick view up here, but and this looks another like part of the old school building. If anybody knows what they're now doing with the old school, I'd like to know. So we've got another school here, Treeton School erected AD 1830. Somebody's living in it. But you wouldn't believe this was an old mining village. Don't think there's a lot else around here, so I'm going to come back and take you back down the main road. It looks like a modern rectory here now. Rectories aren't what they used to be. They used to be quaint rectories. But when you look, if that school's AD 1830, it was built long before the pit, so the pit would have been about 1900. I mean, you've got another school here, 1887, and that's probably going to predate the pit unless the pit was built early. So if it predates the pit, I'd be very surprised where all the children were coming to school here. I wouldn't have thought the increase in population would have been until a pit was actually sunk in Treeton. Got another farm here, Jackson's Farm, and I bet people will remember this being full of working farmers at one bit, as well as the pit. Because I'm going to say most of the farms started to go in the 1960s around where I live, when my family moved into Anston. So there were a lot of farms in Anston in '66, and then after that they started to disappear as they built houses. And I'm going to assume that that's the same with all the outlying villages. You know, we've lost 90% of the farms where I live. So we've got a Baptist church here. I can imagine these places were so different in the 1960s. Much more quaint, a lot more shops. But where they were, I don't know, in Treeton. Because people wouldn't have been, if they were working in the collieries in the 1960s, many people wouldn't have had cars. So they certainly weren't going to be jumping in the car to go to the supermarket, so where were the shops? So we've got a few shops here, but nothing that's going to sustain a small community like this. So we've got another shop here, but nothing of significance. Now I think this was a pub. It's a nursery now, so I don't know what pub that was. There's not one pub left in Treeton. Shut the pubs down, stop the people speaking so they don't actually rise up against the government. Get them drinking in their houses and not talking to each other. So, if this is Station Road, where was the access to the station? I'm assuming that way must take you to Woodhouse, if I'm right. And the other way from that way would be from Kiverton. So you could open a station up in a place like this. Take people off the roads on super trams into Sheffield, just the one line out from Dinnington. I'm going to keep promoting that. My MP knows about it and he is supportive of a train service from out at Dinnington. We don't agree on much, but he's supportive, he understands it, and he told me about the South Yorkshire Joint Railway. I didn't know it was called that. Like I said, I think that one direction's to Woodhouse and one direction will be to Kiverton. So we're getting pretty close to the bottom of Treeton, and you've got more mining type cottages, I think, rather than farming cottages. They've sprung up as the mine was sunk. I'll just take you to the bottom of here. But can anybody confirm where the station was at Treeton? you carry on along this road, it'll be Treeton Dyke, and then that'll take you into Catcliffe and then Waverley. I was hoping the winding wheel down here told us when either pit opened or closed. So are there any other videos of this area you want me to do? Or any different angles you want me to do? I don't look for controversy as such. I could get a lot more video hits on controversial videos, but that isn't my cup of tea. So here we have it. So the pit was earlier than I actually thought. It was 1874 to 1990. So when you see the more recent school building, I think that was about 1875-ish. That's as they started shipping the miners in and sunk the cholera. But the other school you see, which was about 1830, would have been for the farm workers around here, which was a much smaller school. So that's it, that's just a quick view of Treeton. If you can further my education on this area, please do. Like I said, I'd be interested to know where the actual railway station was in Treeton.